The Spencer-Forrester family summit was meant to bring clarity. A fragile truce after weeks of accusations, betrayals, and spiraling speculation surrounding Luna's pregnancy. Tensions were high, but everyone, Bill, Ridge, Steffi, Will, agreed to come together, if only to find common ground and prevent more damage to their respective legacies. No one expected the room to explode into chaos. But then the door flew open. Lieutenant Baker entered with force, flanked by uniformed officers. His voice cut through the room like a blade. "Luna Nozawa, you're under arrest." The words froze the room. Luna stood paralyzed. She barely had time to turn toward Will before the officers surrounded her, hands gripping her wrists, snapping cold metal cuffs in place. Bill Spencer shot up from his seat, livid. Ridge moved fast, protective, shocked. Steffi gasped aloud, demanding answers. None came until Baker laid a file on the table, thick and damning. Inside were pages of digital logs, surveillance images, and medical forensics. The prosecution's case was clear. Luna had accessed and altered her own medical records, tampered with paternity data, and possibly drugged Will Spencer to manipulate the situation. The evidence had been quietly building for weeks, until it reached a tipping point that couldn't be ignored. A copy of her altered medical report, pulled from the clinic's system, showed inconsistencies with the original. Hallway surveillance footage from the clinic's off hours revealed a blurred figure entering, unauthorized, someone who matched Luna's description. And the most damning, a blister pack of sedatives found in Luna's own handbag, the same night the original samples were switched. Gasps turned to stunned silence. Will looked like he'd been punched. He stepped forward instinctively but hesitated, clearly torn. I said I felt something was off that night. I didn't feel like myself. But I don't know if I was drugged or not. His voice cracked under the weight of his own confusion. Bill's eyes darkened. He turned toward Ridge with barely contained fury. You wanted to keep this quiet? This is what we're supposed to protect. Ridge, already pale, turned to Steffi. She looked equally shaken, her loyalty split down the middle. As the officers escorted Luna out, still stunned, barely resisting, Steffi whispered to Ridge, "This is bad. This is really, really bad." But the nightmare was just beginning. The moment Luna was booked, District Attorney Christine Montgomery released a statement confirming an active investigation into paternity tampering, medical fraud, and possible sexual coercion. The media caught on instantly. Headlines exploded. Heiress behind bars. Luna Nozawa arrested in Spencer scandal. Drug, deceit, DNA. Inside the baby scandal that could destroy Forrester and Spencer empires. Behind the scenes, Baker continued to dig. There were too many questions. Who gave Luna access? Who helped her navigate the complex hospital systems to manipulate test results? And then the breakthrough came. Not from Luna's phone, not from anything she confessed, but from the clinic's internal logs. The unauthorized access to the hospital system, the login that enabled the medical record switch, was traced back to one terminal, a desktop inside the office of Poppy Nozawa. Poppy, Luna's mother. Immediately, the spotlight turned again. Baker hauled in Dr. Lee Finnegan for questioning, hoping she could explain how such a breach could go unnoticed. She was defensive at first, citing overwork, patient confidentiality, and hospital policy. But when faced with the terminal log in history, she froze. The name was clear. Poppy's credentials had been used to access Luna's records hours before the tampering occurred. Lee demanded to know how that was possible. Poppy didn't even work at the clinic. But the system didn't lie. Baker pressed harder. Who else had access? Was Poppy working with someone? Or did she act alone to protect her daughter? When called in for a voluntary interview, Poppy denied everything. Calm, poised, but cold. I don't even know how to access that system, she said. I've never touched that computer. But her reaction was off. Baker noted it. So did Bill, who watched the tapes with a predator's stare. Something was wrong, and it all pointed back to Poppy as the silent architect of a cover-up. Meanwhile, the families turned on each other. The Spencers, led by Bill, wanted blood. We prosecute. Publicly. Aggressively. This was an attack on my son. I don't care who she is or whose name she was trying to carry. This isn't just some scandal. It's a crime. Wyatt and Liam agreed. There was no middle ground left. But the Forresters saw it differently. Ridge, Steffi, even Thomas, they saw the bigger picture. If this explodes any further, Ridge warned, it'll take us all down. The brand, the legacy, the reputation, we're hanging by a thread. Steffi argued for containment, damage control. We need to end this behind closed doors. We can't afford to let this leak into the boardrooms and runways. And so, the war lines were drawn. Not just between families, but inside them. Brooke and Katie fought over which side to take. Hope tried to keep peace but failed. Zende withdrew completely, ashamed of how close he'd come to defending Luna. Even Carter, Forrester's loyal legal mind, admitted that a public prosecution could mean the collapse of half their partnerships overseas. At the center of it all, Luna sat in a holding cell, alone, silent, refusing to speak to anyone. Her lawyer, appointed in haste, couldn't get her to say a word. Not about the pills. Not about the camera. Not about her mother. But inside, she was cracking. She knew what was coming. She knew that even if she hadn't drugged Will, the appearance alone would be enough to destroy her. Back at Spencer Publications, Bill gathered his sons for a decision. "We press charges," he said. "Even if it brings down the Forresters. Even if it brings down us. We settle," he said. "We seal this. We make it go away. I don't care what we have to offer. Get to Luna. Get to Poppy. Pay them. Threaten them. Do whatever it takes. We protect the brand." But neither side knew the storm wasn't over. Because late that night, a new file appeared on Baker's desk, an anonymous drop. A flash drive. Inside it, raw, uncut footage from inside the clinic's server room. It showed someone slipping into the terminal at midnight. Hooded. Careful. They sat down, logged in, and the screen showed Poppy's username. But when the figure adjusted their hoodie for just a moment, the face became clear. It wasn't Poppy. It was someone else entirely. Someone no one suspected. It was Remy. And just like that, the game changed again. In the aftermath of the explosive arrest, the fallout was brutal. Luna sat alone in a sterile holding room. The cold walls pressing in as the clock ticked mercilessly forward. The air was thick with the weight of every secret she'd tried to contain, every lie she'd let grow. But now it wasn't about her anymore, it was about Poppy. The woman who had raised her, protected her, lied for her, possibly even sacrificed everything for her. And now, Poppy stood on the brink of criminal charges. Her name pulled directly into the center of the scandal. If the DA chose to move forward, Poppy could face years in prison. Her life and reputation completely destroyed. Luna knew she couldn't let that happen. During a closed-door meeting with Bill Spencer and Lieutenant Baker, Luna finally made a move. Her voice was steady but filled with resignation. "I'll take full responsibility," she said. "Every charge. Every lie. Just leave my mother out of it." Bill didn't speak at first. He looked at her the way a man looks at a collapsed monument, once proud, now just rubble. "Why now?" he asked coldly. "Why the change of heart?" Luna didn't answer. Maybe because the truth was too ugly. Maybe because she didn't have any more lies left in her. Baker hesitated. The case against Luna was already massive. But Poppy's involvement as an accessory would seal the prosecution's narrative. Still, Bill wasn't finished. "You want to protect her? Fine. But you're going to give me something real. Someone real. Who helped you create that double pregnancy file? Who planted false data in the clinic's records?" The room went silent. Luna closed her eyes, then whispered a name no one expected. Dante Wolfe, a former lab technician with a history of backdoor data jobs, and a known associate of Sheila Carter. He had worked quietly in Los Angeles for years, slipping through cracks, doing technical favors for people who didn't want to be traced. Luna admitted she didn't know how Sheila had roped him in, only that he had been the one who duplicated her file, injected false data into the clinic's system, and manipulated test metadata to cause confusion about timelines and paternity. As soon as his name hit the investigation file, Baker's team went hunting. But Dante had vanished, gone the exact night the arrest warrant for Luna was issued. His phone was off. His apartment cleared out. Security footage showed him boarding a shuttle at LAX, but no record of where he went. It was a ghost escape. And everyone knew what that meant. Sheila was behind it. Again, another move in her ongoing campaign to destabilize the Forresters and Spencers from the shadows. The revelation shook the case. Yes, Luna had lied. But now it was clear she wasn't working alone. She had been guided, coerced even, by forces larger than herself. Bill, reluctantly, agreed to a partial deal. Some charges would be reduced, provided Luna gave a full, sworn deposition implicating Dante Wolfe, Sheila Carter, and any other involved party. Poppy would be shielded from prosecution. The DA's office accepted. Publicly, nothing was said. But inside, the wheels were turning. Will, meanwhile, was falling apart. The realization that he'd been used, not just emotionally, but strategically, cut deeper than anything he'd experienced before. He had defended Luna, believed in her, tried to do the right thing. And now, all of it felt like a script written to make him the perfect cover. The perfect father. The perfect Mark. He stopped answering calls. He shut down completely. Wyatt found him one night sitting in Bill's office alone, the lights off, staring at the floor. "I thought she loved me," Will said quietly. "I really thought I mattered. Ridge, never one to let chaos go unanswered, went into corporate lockdown. Forrester Creations, already weathering media backlash from leaked headlines tying them to medical fraud and sexual coercion rumors, now had to reckon with the perception that their brand was built on scandal. With stock prices dipping and sponsors raising concerns, Ridge made the call. A formal press release would be issued. Immediately, he gathered Steffi, Brooke, and Carter for emergency strategy. We say nothing about Luna or the Spencer situation, he ordered. We speak only to our values. Ethics, integrity, product safety. We make this about our standards, not the people behind them. Within hours, Carter had drafted the release. It read like a corporate firewall. Forrester Creations remains deeply committed to the ethical treatment of all employees, partners, and collaborators. We hold ourselves to the highest standards of medical, scientific, and consumer safety. We have launched a comprehensive internal audit to ensure our company remains a global leader in trust, transparency, and responsibility. The message was clear. Forrester Creations would not fall with Luna. Still, the damage had been done. Social media exploded with hashtags like Baby Scandal, Forrester Fraud, and Justice for Will. Reporters camped outside the building. Paparazzi chased Steffi down sidewalks. International buyers started pulling out of upcoming showcases, citing reputational concerns. Ridge doubled down, ordering internal security sweeps and launching NDAs for all employees. Nothing would leak again, not on his watch. At Spencer Publications, Bill took a different route. He leaned in. On live television, he spoke to the press directly. My son was exploited, he said with no hesitation. This was not a scandal. It was a manipulation orchestrated by people with criminal intent. We will pursue every lead, every name, and we will not stop until the truth is public. The Spencer name means something, and no one will tarnish it. But privately, even Bill was shaken. The idea that Sheila was still manipulating events behind the curtain was not just an echo from the past, it was a red flag for the future. Sheila's reach was growing. She had techs, data hackers, doctors. And now she had proven she could bend reality itself, right under their noses. Meanwhile, back in holding, Luna gave her full deposition. Tearful, exhausted, but finally honest, she detailed how Dante had approached her. How he knew details he shouldn't have known. How he offered to help stabilize the records to protect her and the baby. She admitted to panicking, to saying yes, to never thinking it would reach this point. She didn't implicate her mother, never once. But she gave up everything else. After the statement, she was moved to a lower security facility while the DA re-evaluated the charges. Some were dropped, others remained. The case was still alive. The child was still unborn. The truth was still tangled. In a quiet moment outside the courthouse, Ridge and Bill met alone. No press, no lawyers, just two titans of legacy, forced into silence by the storm around them. This won't go away, Ridge said. Even if the charges disappear. The stain's already on us. Bill nodded. Then we burn it off. And we don't stop until Sheila's out of play. For good, because underneath it all, beneath the family fights, the public damage, the corporate cleanups, one fact remained. Sheila Carter was still in the wind. And as long as she was, none of them were safe.